Hello, my creepy crawlies, and welcome to another episode of Ice Cream Queens. Yay! So let's not waste any time and bring in my glorious, glamorous, and lovable hostesses, Kat or Magda. Kat, Lauren.
Hey,
Well, crap. That's not in any order.
that's okay.
There's no order.
One
Okay.
of these things is not like the other.
Oh no, all of these things are like the other, just not in the right order. It's like we're all here because we are similarly inclined to like the darker and the creepy and the goth. So yes, how's everybody doing this evening?
Doing good.
Well,
Excited.
thank you.
School starting.
Oh,
Are we really
Are we
excited?
really?
School starting.
Yes.
Well, you have
Maybe
you have littles. If you have littles, sometimes you're excited that school is starting. I have. Hello, Ryan. How are you? We are doing very well. Hey, I have a question. I'm sorry, we're going to be tripping over each other. And we have a pretty full cast this evening joining us. I just kind of wanted to reach out. There was an article about a paranormal that's hard to say, paranormal investigator that was doing an investigation. And I'm really not sure of the details. I just was I have questions now. She was doing an investigation and fell through the roof of an old building and fell about 10 or 15 feet. I'm not sure what the outcome is, but has anybody ever been on a paranormal investigation where things just went south? Has anybody ever been on a paranormal investigation?
I have
I
not.
have.
Not an official one.
I have.
Did it
I've
go
been on
well?
one.
Was it a bad one?
Everything is fine. I get where, to me, they kind of start feeling hokey when everybody wants to like turn off all the damn lights. And I'm just kind of like, well, here's my thing with ghosts. You know, they're going to haunt in the broad of daylight, nighttime, daytime, lights. You know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to like turn all the lights off where you're stumbling over strangers and you can't see where you're going. You can't see your hand in front of your face. So I kind of get turned off by that. I just don't think you get an essence of the place. You can't really feel your way through it and see where your feet are walking or anything like that. So, I mean, other than that, it was all right.
I don't
Lauren?
know. I grew up in a haunted house in Wisconsin. Like there's a picture of me and I for the life of me cannot find it. But there is a picture of like itty bitty little toddler me in front of the whole house with my arms out, like, look at my house. And there's like a ghost dude up on the roof. And it looks like he turned and he's like, oh crap, they're taking a picture. And he was trying to like fade out. But I will find that one of these days and present it as my evidence. But yeah, I grew up in a haunted house.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I'd like to see that picture.
I
Yeah,
would
I'd love
too.
to see that picture.
I would love to
Bring
see
it.
that. Magda, you've lived all around the world. I know you have encountered hauntings and fun, creepy things like that.
Scotland is full of castles, and every castle has some sort of ghost story. Whether they've got there seems to be something about ladies. There's always like a grey lady or a white lady or some sort of lady that's you cannot have a castle without a ghost. It's a given.
Fair.
So I am the absolute worst, as you can probably imagine, at paranormal investigations. It's like I am the eternal skeptic. You would think that somebody who is inclined to goth and creepy and all of this would be, oh yeah, that's a real thing. And but I have a tendency to go into places, and if there's no activity, I start making it up and creating mass hysteria. Like one of the last ones we were at, we were in the lights all out. Actually, there was no electricity in the church. And I was like throwing things. And I'm like, what was that? By the time we left, oh yeah, it was great. By the time we left, I'm like, I think the ghost wants us to all join hands and sing hymnals. And I had them sing. It was hilarious. Oh my, or hymns. I'm sorry, church hymns. It was hilarious. And I had so many people. We went into another room and I'm like laying on the floor going, I think I can feel the underground water beneath us. And that's me. This is who I am. If you are not having an experience, any type of paranormal experience, by God, I am going to make it happen for you. Okay, so on that note, what's your favorite scary movie? Oh,
You have to
okay.
say that in the creepy voice.
Wait a minute. Before we answer that question, can we go ahead and bring in our two guests? First of all, the local area genuine pirate foodie. He is a phenomenal nature photographer. Let's bring in Jeremiah Patton, also known as Mr. Fish.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you
Welcome.
for having me on the show.
Hi, Fish.
Hello.
Hey, y'all.
It was so nice to see Jeremiah stop by yesterday, and I was so excited. I actually got to see him. I
We
was so
got a
happy.
hug. That was awesome. I like to see my friends.
And I love it when you stop by, and it's just it's so much fun, and it takes the Cabana Boy away for a little while. I'm just kidding. Now I love spending time with the Cabana Boy. And then I also want to bring in our second guest, Scarlett, the amazing Scarlett, and she played a very special role for us during this week, or this couple of weeks, to prepare for the show, and we'll kind of get into that later. So, can we flash that question back up? The comments. Cabana Boy.
Not that one. So what's your favorite scary movie one? There we go.
Okay. Lauren, favorite creepy voice. Go.
Oh, hang on. What's your favorite scary movie? Okay.
All right. Kat, you start. We'll go across the bottom and around the top.
Okay, let's do probably a John Carpenter, maybe like In the Mouth of Madness or something. I don't know. It kind of left me a little, after I watched it, you're always kind of looking over your shoulder doing one of those numbers. So
That was one of those movies that I walk away feeling drunk from or high. There's a couple of those that do that to you. The Doors, I know it's not creepy, but The Doors left me feeling that way too. Okay. Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish.
Mr.
So
Fish.
I have a few that I like, but I really like the I already forgot the name of the movie. Someone keeps texting me. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was always a big fun one for me. I enjoy that one.
That one's super fun.
I
Much
agree.
screaming and bloody
Yes.
funness.
Not so much the remake. I like the originals.
The originals has a lot more originality to it, a lot more authenticity.
Scarlett, how about
So
you?
I'm like the biggest baby in the whole world when it comes to like scary movies and stuff like that. I hate jump scares so much. I have too much anxiety for that. But now that I'm thinking about it, my favorite scary movie seems super inappropriate for the last year that we've had. One of my favorite scary movies is Quarantine. That zombie movie that takes place in that built like the apartment complex, and everybody's like infected with like rabies or something like that, and they start eating people. But yeah, Quarantine.
Lauren, how about you?
Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead is my favorite. Like I was very, very sad. I know that they had other Freddy movies after that with Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Freddy versus Jason and all that, but I really wanted a continuation of that movie. I even like wrote out a plot for it because I just loved the idea of it. I have got Kruger Glove tattooed on me. Love it so much.
Anywhere we can see?
It's a leg, but I mean, I haven't shaved in a minute, and I'm wearing a corset. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hike it up that high right now.
Okay, so we're going to say that's a no at the moment. Magda, how about you?
I would say Near Dark. It's just such a fabulous and strange take on vampires that I thought was fabulous. It's probably one of my favorites.
I love that movie. That is a great movie. Great choice. I'm a bit of a classic girl, and I don't like CGI, and I like ghost story type. So Amityville Horror, the original one, is probably my favorite horror movie ever. Followed very closely by The Shining, but it's kind of between the two. I've met
Nifty.
Roger Jackson, aka Ghostface, and he signed my Scream 4 DVD, and it was cool. Oh, that is cool. I've also seen Quarantine as well, and that was good.
That's awesome. So, speaking of The Shining, did you watch the sister movie sequel that came out with who was in it? Ewan McGregor?
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah,
Yes.
Doctor Sleep.
that one. Is it good?
Fine.
I haven't seen it yet.
It
I
was,
don't know.
Well,
I think the book was probably a lot better than the movie. I have a tendency to think that the books are a lot better than movies, just because my imagination runs wild. But yes, I have seen it. It was enjoyable. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't my favorite either.
I suppose I just didn't know what it was I was going into when I saw it, so I thought it was going to be something else in it. I think that's why I was disappointed in it. Is when it turned out to be the story it was, I just sort of sat back and thought, well, all right then. It just
just curious.
it didn't draw me. It just didn't draw me.
The storyline and the carnival style characters that were collecting and eating the Shining, they were very interesting, and I really wish that we would have spent a lot more time with that storyline and all of their histories, because they were very fun and very interesting. So
Nifty.
now we do have an audience participation question, so we're gonna go ahead and pop that up. What is your favorite absinthe cocktail? Tell us the recipe. If you leave it in the comments, we'll flash it up, comment on it, and read it throughout the show. We are always looking for new recipes because that's something that we absolutely love. So without further ado, let's hop on to our topic, because we have a fun and interesting topic tonight. And Kat, why don't you kick it off for us? What are we talking about?
Okay, well, we are talking about absinthe this evening. I guess it would be considered like the neo-goth drink of choice of all you old goth kids who used to, go to the clubs, the old absinthe house down in New Orleans, or go dancing at the Shim Sham. I don't know, wherever y'all used to go goth clubbing at. I couldn't tell you. Memphis, maybe Fantasia. I don't know. So anyway, so let's discuss this lovely glowing green drink, okay? So what it is absinthe it gets its name from Artemisia absinthium, which is the scientific term, aka of wormwood. So it's named after that, hence absinthe. So it was created in the late 1700s by a French doctor who was actually living in Switzerland at the time, and his name was Pierre Ordinaire, which is kind of a unique name there. So, and it is a liqueur. It is not actually a liquor because it has no sugar in it when it is created, and it is made with a clear alcohol, and it's made with herbs, hence the wormwood was the original ingredient, and then anise, fennel, and sometimes made with like other different herbs, but it definitely has a flavor of black licorice. Like, you are not getting past that. That's the anise that's in it. Somebody saying I'm the green fairy. And it's kind of funny. Like, I have a hard time placing the green fairy in. I just, that's kind of what everybody brands it as a green fairy drink. That's a psychotropic, hallucinogenic type of drink. But in all honesty, it's I guess the June is how you pronounce it. That's the chemical compound that's in the drink that's supposed to create that psychotropic type of effect. However, it really doesn't have that type of effect, and it doesn't have enough in it to really do anything other than maybe, like, I guess, relax you, maybe, if anything of sorts. I think the alcohol pretty much takes over and does what the alcohol does. So, but it's made with a very high volume alcohol at that. The brand Pernod is the one that was the original that everybody was the go-to kind of drink. And what it was a pub drink back in France. It was popular in South France, but it was kind of what created happy hour. And people would go to the pubs at 5 o'clock after work. they would all, instead of going to wine, they started leaning towards absinthe. And absinthe was kind of like the poor man, rich man type of cocktail where everybody would just kind of, pony up to the bar and have their absinthe. Now, one thing about absinthe at the bar is typically the bartender does not make this drink. What it's originally supposed to be is where I guess the bartender would hand you the absinthe, hand you the sugar, and then there would be some type of drip fountain of cold water where you would put your drink underneath it and it would create it. It's kind of like making your own coffee, your own brew. So initially, absinthe is very bitter. It doesn't have very much flavor. That's why people like to add the sugar cube with it to sweeten it up. And it also gives it that opalescence type of look where it glows green as the water's being dripped into the drink. Now, what it does, back in France, people got really, it says vodka martini, shake and stir. That does not count. I like to stir mine. You can shake it. You're the creator of your own absinthe is what it's supposed to be. But now what happened in France is back at about, I would say in 1914, 15, what was happening is people were saying that it was making them go nuts. There was all kinds of smear campaigns going on around the world where absinthe was creating, disillusions in people and just making them nutty. But what people didn't realize is the wine companies were behind these smear campaigns because they were losing out in profits because absinthe was coming in and that was taking over in the bars. So there was some sort of a same thing like here. There was a prohibition, only in France, but it only went to absinthe and not to any other liquor. So absinthe was outlawed in France, and it was outlawed in 1915. Also here in America, it was where they couldn't ship it across over here to America in 1912. And then it didn't make it resurface here in America until, 2007? I want to say maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time. Basically, they were just trying to get rid of it so that, it wouldn't make its debut, come back, and wine would be the king as far as sales down in France. Now, in America, it was a little different of a story. They just didn't want people drinking at all. So that wasn't quite.
I know.
They didn't like us having
any.
They didn't like us having any fun. So it was all alcohol, not just absinthe here in the United States. So that's kind of why it got a bad reputation, other than Vincent van Gogh slashing off his ear and handing it to his girlfriend. I'm sure that gets blamed on absinthe quite a bit. And then, so we also have another style of absinthe that came out in the 1990s, the late 1990s, and it was in Czechoslovakia. And I don't believe it was called that then. It was either Czech Republic or Slovakia. I think it was both. I'm not really big on history. And so it was there where, I guess in the goth clubs in Prague and those type of places where you would start seeing this new, I guess, wow way of people serving absinthe, where they would take a sugar cube and they would soak it in absinthe. And because it has so much alcohol in it, they would light it on fire and let it, sieve through the glass into the drink that way. And that way the water would pour through, knock the fire out. And so it kind of created this own little goth occult following of the drink. I guess it started in the late 1990s. So that was kind of like the new way of drinking absinthe versus the old way where it's just cold water and a sugar cube. And hence that is what absinthe is. So if you drink it, you won't go nuts. You won't slice off your ear and hand it to your boyfriend or anything of sorts.
Darn.
But, it's fun to have all these disillusions about a drink being just that, that crazy, but it's really not.
You mentioned the Czech absinthe, and I was trying to point out to the Cabana Boy that Magda actually has a bottle of it with her.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Has it been? I take it hasn't been opened.
It has not been opened. I bought this in the Czech Republic 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to see just how neon green it is.
You can see it.
Foul.
Yeah.
It is the most foul drink I think on the face of the planet. It's awful. It's awful. It's like battery acid and mouthwash and licorice all mixed together with a bit of food coloring. It's pure alcohol. I think the reason why they light it on fire is to get some of the because the char tastes better than the alcohol. So oh, it's horrid, absolutely horrid.
That one will make you cut off your ear and give to your boyfriend, I will say. Along with your tongue and your nose.
Can we kind of jump our order and use that as a segue into Scarlet? And so basically Lauren and I went out this past weekend with the amazing Scarlet, and there is an absinthe bar in Memphis, and it's a very, very old absinthe bar. It evidently has a very colorful and interesting history, and if this place is not haunted, it should be. Hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went and we were sampling. We opened and closed the place. It was a very quick open and close, but we did open and close the place. And I do believe there is a video of our adventure. And
cool.
we're gonna skip around because I know that Jeremiah, Mr. Fish, is going to talk to us a little about the culinary aspects of it because he's done something super, super special too. But I wanted to read because Magda, you were talking about how it's like that bottle specifically, that brand is kind of funky tasting, and Scarlet, it was your first time trying. Let's. What did you think?
So she is right. That was my very first time trying absinthe ever. So I got one that was called Lucid. I don't really know a whole lot about the brand or anything, but the type that I had was called Lucid, and it was very light. I tried DL's and Lauren's also, and theirs were incredibly strong. But mine, I feel like, was the least potent out of all of them. And as soon as I took a sip, I told them, I was like, you know what this tastes like? This tastes like those, those Necco wafers, the little candies that are like 1,000 years old, the little brown ones. That's what it tasted like to me. So I really did like it. It was very rich, though. And I had a hard time finishing it, but that's what DL's for. She finished it for me. But
finish everybody's drink.
Actually, yes, I did like it. It was really good. I would drink it again. I could probably only have like one, though. I don't think I could have more than one of those, just because they're so rich, not because of like the alcohol content, even though that is a lot. But yeah, it's super rich, and I don't think I could drink more than one of them. But I did enjoy it. It was really good.
And there's something I think that needs to be shared. If you're going for absinthe, in Scarlett, you've worked in an environment where you've been a bartender. So I think several of us have, and you can probably give us kind of a quick rundown of what the price point is in comparison. But it's one of those things that I think that people need to be prepared for
Yes.
going in.
So I've worked in the service industry for like 6 or 7 years now, and it's the only types of jobs that I've ever had. And I have been a bartender, a server, everything in between. So my most recent job, I worked at a really high-end steakhouse, and one of their big sellers was their wine. They had all price points of wine, and there typically a glass of wine could run roughly about $8 to $12, and the 12 was like on the very high end. Generally, the glasses of wine were like $8 or $9. Things like martinis and specialty drinks ran closer to 12 to 15, and that's generally around the price point that most of the drinks were, other than like, of course, the single liquor and single mixer drinks that, vary. It depends on what you get at that point. But as far as like mixed drinks and wine, the cheapest probably ran $7 or $8. The more expensive ones, probably about $15, somewhere in that price range. So my absinthe drink that I got at the Absinthe Room in downtown Memphis was $18 for my one glass of absinthe, and mine wasn't the most expensive one on the menu either. I think mine was actually on the lower end. So
I think when you are going to, especially in Absinthe Room, that's one of the things that I try to visit anytime that we're in a city. There's a couple of things that I look for, and it's tiki and Polynesian and absinthe. And I know those are two totally different ends of the spectrum, but I mean, I've had absinthe drinks that have ran anywhere between $18 to $36. So I mean, yeah. So that would be the Absinthe Room in New York, or the Absinthe House in New Orleans, I think has one that's like 36. But you also have to understand, as you saw in the video, there's a whole science experiment and a show that kind of goes alongside it. So, and it's a lot of fun.
The preparation is definitely part of the cost at bars, I think. Also, if you order an absinthe drink at a bar, please tip your bartender really well.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's a little labor intensive.
It really is.
So Lauren, I'll wait. So
You're good?
you are very well, you and Magda are both very well ingrained into the goth culture. I think we all are, but I think that regarding all of us, I think that the two of you are a bit more ingrained into the goth culture. Why do you think that absinthe is the drink of choice for people who are dark-minded?
I've got to go with the fact that it was taboo. It falls into the category of burlesque, or just goth culture in general. It's super taboo. No one really wanted to talk about it for a while. No one wanted to do anything with it for a while. And so all of the people who are like, we are the weird and unusual, kind of adopt these things. We adopted burlesque. We adopted all of the crazy punk and all of that. And Absinthe came along, and we were like, why was this banned? For stupid reasons? Well, it's ours now. And so we just kind of fell in love with it. There's the aspect of the flame with it, which is appealing to many of the goth culture, but I really do think the fact that it was banned, it was taboo, it was hard to get a hold of. I know people who would sneak in bottles from other countries and like come into the bars and be like, guys, look what I got. And we would all sneak behind and try the
A
absinthe.
little bitty bottle.
Yeah. So I have to go with the green fairy. I have to go with the fact that it was just super, super taboo. And that's one of the reasons that it was adopted by the goth culture. Magda?
Lauren, I'm sorry. I'm going to jump in. What are you drinking? So what is your...
My husband, Joey the Roadie, made this one for me. So after we went to the Absinthe house, I decided that I was not done and I wanted to create my own concoction. So I went to the liquor store around the corner. And I spoke with the guys and I was like, okay, guys, I'm on a show called Ice Cream Queens. I want to make an absinthe ice cream drink. And so we went through this whole ordeal of picking out liquors and everything to go with it. I made a video about it. And this is what was left over from that video. There's not ice cream in this one, but there is quite a bit of white chocolate Godiva, some vanilla vodka, absinthe. I think he put heavy whipping cream in here. I'm guessing. I didn't watch him make this one. He surprised me. But it's if you could take the idea of a York peppermint patty and make it slightly a little bit more licoricey, that's kind of what this tastes like.
Sounds delicious.
Sounds good.
That sounds fantastic.
I'm heading to your house right now. Is there any
Yes,
left?
I'm on my way. I'll be there in 45 minutes.
There's quite a bit left.
We do have the video, by the way.
Can we
Wanna
watch
see
it?
it?
Yes.
I have a show coming up. You can check us out on YouTube. Just look up Back of the Cereal Box Ice Cream Queens. My next show is the topic of absinthe. So I've decided to get a little themey, or maybe schemy. Themey. I'm going to make an absinthe drink. Oh, but not a regular absinthe drink. I'm going to make an ice cream absinthe drink. You heard that right. Let's get to it. It's ready, our cup here. Don't forget the sugar. Oop. I'm going with this brand. Let there be light. Much more fun in the dark. Vanilla vodka in there. Next, 2 of these. Dash of heavy whipping cream. Don't forget the absinthe.
That looked orgasmic.
I want some.
Can we say it? Yeah. Yes. Oh, that looked glorious. And I am not I avoid milk. So you had a couple of things in there that I'm just like, oh no, that's not for me. I would so drink that. That looks more like dessert. That looks delicious. We agree. We agree, Annie.
Thank you.
So Magda, why do you think that absinthe has become the official drink of the goth culture?
Well, absinthe was the tipple of the artist, the intellectual, the bohemian, the outcast, and the decadent. And as Lauren said, it invaded goth culture. But I think part of that had to do with the fact that so many of the romantic and gothic artists and authors indulged in it. We had writers such as Oscar Wilde, Charles Baudelaire, Anaïs Nin, Ernest Hemingway, all indulged in quite a bit of absinthe. The French poet Charles Baudelaire was an ardent absinthe drinker. He didn't write profusely about it, but he did reference it in a aptly named poem, Get Drunk. Oscar Wilde was a supporter of the consumption of absinthe to fuel the creative process. English novelist Marie Corelli, she was contemporary of Wilde, and lovingly quipped, "There you have the most marvelous cordial in all the world. Drink, and you'll find your sorrows transmuted and yourself transformed."
Wow.
Aleister Crowley, the English occultist, spoke of absinthe aficionados as being part of a cult of victims, saying they were proud of the servitude towards their secret drug. Anaïs Nin, who was known for her erotic, romantic, and insightful prose, wrote a letter to her friend Clementine van Riedix. She said, "You loved a man who treated you like absinthe, half poison, half God. He tried to sweeten you and to water you down." Ernest Hemingway was known to import absinthe from Spain and Cuba after it was banned, and even featured the drink in several of his stories. The Hills Like White Elephants and For Whom the Bell Tolls both included it. And he even created his own drink, his own cocktail, which he called Death in the Afternoon, which was a combination of absinthe and champagne. He called absinthe that opaque, bitter, tongue-numbing, brain-warming, stomach-warming, idea-changing liquid alchemy. I think going back to the goth concept, I really should mention Edgar Allan Poe. Poe is frequently described as being a heavy absinthe drinker and a casualty of it. But
Yes.
from the research that I did, I can't find any substance to that. Merely rumors, and most after the fact. Just standing rumors, but rumors. It's really, in my opinion, it's just an example of romanticism. One feels that Poe was the sort of person who ought to have been an absinthe drinker. It just seems to fit the narrative of his life and times. But I don't think it was true. I think they attributed it to a lot of people after the fact. I know, Jeremiah, I believe you have some magical liquid alchemy that you were planning on sharing with us. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Can I jump back real quick? I think
Do it.
Magda prepared something extremely special for us that we are all dying to share. Do you mind if we do that now, Magda?
Please do. Please do.
Yay!
A glass of absinthe is as poetical as anything in the world. What difference is there between a glass of absinthe and a sunset? After the first glass, you see things as you wish they were. After the second, you see things as they are not. Finally, you see things as they really are. And that is the most horrible thing in the world. It's as if the first diviner of absinthe had been indeed a magician, intent upon a combination of sacred drugs which should cleanse, fortify, and perfume the human soul. What is it in absinthe that makes it a separate cult? The effects of its abuse are totally distinct from those of other stimulants. Even in ruin and degradation it remains a thing apart. Its victims wear a ghastly aureole all their own, and in their particular hell yet gloat with a sinister perversion of pride that they are not as other men.
I
I
can
don't have a
listen.
fan. I was looking for my fan.
I could listen to Magda talk all day long.
first
Oh,
two quotes-
I agree.
Oscar Wilde.
I wish
and
you
the
were a
second-
hypnotist with that.
and,
You start putting people to sleep and under, like, yes, I'll tell you all my secrets. Let's go.
the first two quotes were Oscar Wilde, and the second two quotes were both Aleister Crowley. So,
Wow.
Can I officially say that was like the sexiest thing I have ever heard? Just hands down.
I love
And-
her voice.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Magda, can you just talk the whole time?
It's now the Magda show.
I know. I know.
I'll
I
have to
think
start
we're gonna
doing
try-
Nikki's videos where we express. I can do an announcement of what it is that we're doing this particular week.
Oh yes. Yes.
That'd be cool.
We would love that. Anything you want to do where you are reading or speaking or just being there and being beautiful, we are all about this. So
I do love like the background. It was very pretty, but I also like watching the words come out of your mouth. Just saying. Just saying.
are we getting a bit fetishy?
in my-
I'm tuned in. Everybody is officially I call the drink
Creme
Creme
de
de
licorice. Oh, that's
creme de
this one. Sorry.
Okay, so 1 ounce absinthe, 1 ounce whipped cream vodka, 1 ounce of Godiva white chocolate, liqueur, 2 ounces of white mocha creamer, 1 ounce of vanilla creamer, and 2 drops of food coloring. Perhaps I should have had Magda read that too, but
Yeah. That's a hard yes.
I agree. So I want to follow up just with something else she said. I found this very interesting, and being an interview with a vampire fan, I'm going to throw this out there. So Anne Rice claimed in her writings that absinthe is the only drink aside from blood which vampires will indulge in.
Interesting.
I love that.
So speaking of absinthe and vampires, there's a really, really nifty scene in Dracula, the one with help me here, Winona
Ryder, the
and
absinthe.
yes,
Gary Oldman.
and it's super fun just to listen to that one scene and him talk about the absinthe. So
the
if you get bored
aphrodisiac of the
later,
soul.
check that out.
I think the line is absinthe is the aphrodisiac of the soul.
That sounds familiar. I don't know. I watched it about 3 times on repeat on YouTube.
If that's wrong, let me know. So I'm going to jump over to Mr. Fish now.
Hello.
Okay, so Mr. Fish is a culinary genius. I think I'm safe to say that. Am I safe to say that?
I wouldn't
He
call
comes-
genius, but
Yes,
he's a genius.
I do dabble.
Oh, no.
You're a
No, there's
genius.
no dabbling. It's a genius.
Yes.
Should we share the chili recipe, chili incident, Scarlett? Never, ever again.
No.
But
We don't
Mr.
speak of that.
Fish has created a beautiful concoction for us, and I think there's videos to go alongside. But let's bring him into the main window. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Better.
So let's talk about what have you been working on for us.
So a lot of times you go out and you buy absinthe, and kind of like we were discussing earlier, the limits of the thujone, or however you say it, is kind of limited to what's allowed by law. So if you want to, they actually buy the kits online. These kits online, you can have actually, this is dried thujone. Someone correct me. How do you say that?
That's correct, Thujone.
So
Okay, so.
I had that verified.
Good. So it's horrible. It's absolutely detrimental to like my taste buds. It's disgusting. But what I did is you buy it. It comes in 2 packages, the thujone, and then it comes with the botanicals afterwards. So you put the thujone in, let it steep for a little bit, and I actually made a little video to kind of bring us into that. I don't know if you want to kind of play that first, and then we'll kind of pick it up.
Brother Jethro, where are we going to make alcohol?
In the bathtub.
We're not going to make alcohol in the bathtub.
Make the moonshine in the bathtub.
Where are we going to make alcohol?
That's what Grandpapa made in the bathtub.
We're not going to make alcohol in the bathtub, not after grandmother's incident. I'm going to be making absinthe. I'm going to make it in 2 parts. First, the wormwood, between 4 and 7 days. The longer you let it sit, the more bitter it's going to be, the stronger the supposed effects. Why is this brown? Because it's dried. Absinthe, the green color, is actually from the chlorophyll. So what are we going to use? I've been growing basil. We're going to use that. Let's go harvest some. So in my garden, I've got a whole bunch of basil. I've already tried these flowers. They have actually got a little bit of a basil flavor, but they're also kind of sweet. I'm going to actually put some of those in there. We're going to harvest some of this beautiful basil. We're going to put it in there for that green chlorophyll color. Now that's pretty good. We want to take this and crush it up. That's going to break the vessels in it and release some of this chlorophyll a little easier. Wait, is this a children's show? So we're going to put this in here and put them in. I chose 75% alcohol. 80 proof vodka isn't enough. This is going to be perfect for what we need. Isn't she beautiful? Next time I see you, we're going to filter this out, put it in a new container, and add the rest of the botanicals, and we will make absinthe within a week. Looks like it came out of a bathtub.
So there you have it.
Wow.
Gross.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, quick question. Is that legal?
Yes, it is. I believe you can't make anything more. Well, I'm not actually distilling anything, so it's completely legal. We're just infusing botanicals into an already purchased liquor, so I've already paid for the taxes for it, so I can do what I want with it.
Nifty.
Now, also, if you don't grow a garden, if you have a brown thumb like some of us, no, I'm not pointing fingers. Yeah. She is,
I am
but I'm
pointing
not.
fingers.
Yes, if you have a brown thumb, are there places that you can get like kits to make absinthe?
Yes, actually, you can go to eBay, and there's a lot of people that gather the botanicals from bulk. They section it out into small bags, and then you can purchase it, and it's only like $4 or $5. The biggest expense is pretty much the alcohol itself, and then you've actually got to wait for it because it takes about a week to 2 weeks to actually make it.
Oh,
So you saw it was in here, and this is empty. Before I started on here, I actually I filtered it out, and there's okay. So I am the biggest coffee snob, and this is what's called a pour over. So this is great because it's reusable. You can put your cone filters in here. I filtered it once through this, get all the large aggregate out of it, and then the second part I filtered it twice through here. And this is what we've got. So it's a green liquid right here. This is from the greens from the basil that I put in there. It's a sweet basil. And then it's a little bit brownish because of the thujone. You know, I could actually run it through a distillery, make it completely clear. You wouldn't get any of the flavors out of it except for the thujone because that's kind of emulsified with the alcohol, right? So that's what that is. So this is great. And so many uses, right? And yes. While we're talking,
wait, where did he go?
Where'd he go?
Come back,
Come back. Oh, I wasn't wanting to see this.
I love how we're all like.
All right. So in the meantime, let's talk about thujone a little bit because it is the compound that is in absinthe that makes it the hallucinogenic or the perceived hallucinogenic. And I think he's back. We'll get back to this in a minute.
Right.
He's back.
I don't know what happened. We lost me. So anyway, we're gonna light this on fire, which is probably against the room rules that I've got. No fires, right? Just don't
we don't see a
broadcast it.
Fire.
Right.
I am hoping that your landlord is not watching.
I hope so too. So anyway, I've got this thing, and it's a big old fire.
Turkish.
A lot of alcohol will do that, I guess. So with this pour over, you know, you pour it with this little elephant snout, and it's able to give you a very, very small amount of stream, very similar to what you would do in the absinthe drink, but without having to pay the $200-$400 for one of those fountains. But as you can see, watch it just change color. It's starting to go. So this alcohol that I'm using is fascinating.
It turns white.
Good there.
Yeah.
It turned white. So this was a clear alcohol. This one is Copper and Kings. A lot of times when you buy this stuff, it comes from overseas. This is actually made in Louisville, Kentucky. It's locally made, right? I live in Kentucky, or Lexington, Kentucky, so it's locally made. It's actually pretty decent. It's very mild. It's not a very strong absinthe flavor, which I kind of like. If you're not really big on the licorice flavors, but you still want to drink absinthe, this is a really good drink to do.
Our outing, you said that was Copper Kings?
Yes.
Is the name? That was the brand that I was actually drinking, and it was extremely citrusy. Mm-hmm. So if you were kind of leaning away from if you are trying it for the first time and you are leaning away from the licorice flavor, and you're trying to avoid that, that's actually a good choice because it was very light and not heavy on the licorice flavoring.
That's wonderful. So, second part, so we've already done the thujone in here, and the second part is this botanical. So I'm actually going to do this. Just going to go ahead and pour it in here. It's got everything. I think this kit cost me $4 or $5.
That's the thujone?
The thujone is this. It's all weeds and thickets. It's okay. Gross. I did try a little bit of it. I about killed myself. It was bad. I almost cut my ear off. So, this. Yeah.
Quick question. I want to tell you. So I found out in my research on thujone. Thujone is found in several different plants, not just wormwood. It's found in Nucta. I'm sure I am mispronouncing that. Nucta cypress, some junipers, mugwort, which that's one that we all love. Oregano, common sage, tansy, various species of mint, and wormwood, most notably grand wormwood, which Kat mentioned was the Artemisium absinthium. So yeah, you can actually get that in several different plants, and it's also a component of several essential oils and found in several different perfumeries. Okay,
I was
So you're
actually
keeping
going
it in
to
your
bring up.
spaghetti. It's in your spaghetti.
it's in your spaghetti.
I was actually going to bring up because we were discussing earlier the absolutely horrible taste that some absinthe has. I was actually going to bring up mugwort because mugwort has an absolutely horrendous flavor. It's very bitter. It's disgusting, but it does have quite some psychoactive elements to it. And I guess if you wanted the fabled psychoactive element to your absinthe, you could probably add mugwort to it and then experience that if you
Why
wanted
did you
to.
try mugwort?
I have some.
Are you you witch? Are you growing mugwort?
Not
What?
growing it. I purchased it on Etsy from
Now she's
an
growing
herb
it. She
vendor.
got the seeds, and now she's growing it.
But it's horrible. I absolutely do not recommend drinking mugwort tea or anything. Some people say that mugwort tea before bed makes you lucid
Hallucinate.
dream.
I'll throw mine out.
I've never hallucinated, but apparently
Maybe
it's
that's
supposed
what's
to
in
make you lucid
ambient.
dream when you drink it before bed. Some people, people that believe in things like astral projection think that it helps with that type of thing. But I was actually thinking about mugwort in absinthe would probably give you the effect that people say that it originally gave.
The fabled green fairy.
Yes, exactly.
Fabled green fairy.
If you want to experience the green fairy in all of her fullness, add mugwort to your absinthe.
Okay, so knowing that mugwort is a thujone compound plant, thujone actually has properties very similar to THC. We'll leave it at that. But so there's a lot of the psychotropic aspects of absinthe probably come from more so the mugwort and the wormwood and the THC compound blends that you're getting from it. Okay, go ahead, Jeremiah. Let's keep
there's more.
blending.
There's more.
Okay. Well, we blended, so we're going to let this sit for about a week, right? This is what's going to give it that licoricey flavor. It's going to kind of try to cover up that bitterness and that nastiness. There's foul. Ugh. So this is going to happen. And actually what I'm going to do is after we get off of here, I'm going to start this. And I've got this one too. I'm actually going to DL. I'm going to give this to you. So next time you are talking about this on Ice Cream Queens, you can actually try it live online, and then I'll have mine. We can do tasting notes. You can add your own.
We'll add mugwort to ours.
Green. Add mugwort. add something green. It's going to be brown because it's not green. You get the chlorophyll from the green, or you can use green food coloring, whatever you want.
You know what?
Buy one of these.
I want one of those. We want it to be as natural as possible. So if it's brown, if it's a dark green, if it's some other color, we're fine with it. Just as long as it's as natural as possible. Mugwort and all.
Lovely.
We're getting warts.
We don't have warts.
Not yet.
I was about to say some of the colors of the absinthe are red too. They're not necessarily all green either. They all turn out, and they have different brands. There's a couple that will come out red as well. It's just, and they'll kind of change that, where they turn that white clear liquid once you pour it in. But they've got some brands that look more red in the bottle. It's
okay, so
due to the herb.
Jeremiah has said that the chloroform is what gives it that glowing green, not chloroform, chlorophyll.
Chloroform.
Chloroform is for a
Does this
nap.
smell like chloroform?
That gives it that green fairy effect when you wake up after you've had a really good sleep.
Yeah, add chloroform.
I have been
to
watching
absinthe.
way too many serial killer shows. Oh my gosh. The chlorophyll is what makes it green. Chloroform makes it turn shady brown.
We promise she's not a serial killer.
So, and I'll tell you that oregano also is green and has chlorophyll, but it also has thujone in it as well. So you could actually double up on the flavors and double up. I don't know if you really want to put any of that in there, but anything that you find is green, that's perfect. Whatever you want to do, it's going to pick up the flavors. It's going to infuse that. It's going to be beautiful. Make it yours.
So what do you think you would put in it to make it turn red?
Red food coloring.
Good answer.
I'm thinking like rose petals or something. It's like
There's some kind of herb. Yeah, there's something where they're just concocting it with more herbs.
Right. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. So there's in distilling and stuff like that. There's two ways to make it. It's the kind that this is kind of made. This is more of a low end kind of bathtub, in the bash tub. But this is the most common way of doing it, is where they actually distill it. It's going to come out white, and in the aftermath, after it's infused and flavored, you got everything you want. Then they actually color in the background. So a lot of it isn't the traditional chlorophyll or chloroform, as you say, DL.
Thanks. Sorry.
But if you're talking about natural, this is probably the most natural you're going to get. I really like the flavor of this.
Thanks. Raspberry leaf.
Raspberry.
Interesting.
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus would be delicious.
Good idea.
That would be so good.
I feel like we need a science experiment where we all need to make our own and what color it turns out.
Yes.
Challenge
guess what I put in
accepted.
it. I know.
You know what? I mean, we're all about recipes and making things, and we're crafty women. So I think, and gentlemen, I think we can do this.
Make it happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm thinking hibiscus and mugwort.
I have rose hips.
That sounds
rose hips
yummy.
And mugwort.
Yes.
It almost felt like you were going to crush up Ambien and sprinkle in the
She
green
might.
fairy.
Here comes the green
Fall right out.
I know. How awesome. Let's do that. So I know that we've had a lot of references to the green fairy, and I know we're coming up to the top of the hour, but I do want to just kind of throw out some images. So the concept of the green fairy, I think, not only came from the coloring of the liquor itself, but it was something that was featured very prominently in art, in classic art. There are several pieces of art. I love absinthe art, and I have several pieces that I have collected over the years. But I think the most, okay, so this one is, and I can't remember who the artist is. Please forgive me. I have my notes, but my phone went dead. But this one is actually called The Green Fairy. And there is another one that is called The Green Fairy as well. So there's a lot of reference to the fairy, and basically this woman fairy creature that it's sitting on the table and pulling you in. There's also something that I found very interesting, because come to me. Something that I found that was interesting that I think Kat touched on is that it was very targeted towards the working man. Just when the wine industry kind of got a little out of control in terms of, I think there was some issues with manufacturing and grapes at one point in France. And so absinthe became very popular, and it was a lot less expensive to purchase. But a lot of the art that I've seen is also very depressing. For instance, the Degas print called In Cafe, I feel is probably one of the most depressing looking, that one is one of the most depressing looking images that I have seen. And then there is another one that I do believe is it the Monet print? that one. But if you look at traditional classic pieces of absinthe art, it's surrounded by just heart-wrenching, broken, and just it's really sad. Now, there were a series of images that were created as propaganda that was presented not only to the public in pamphlets, but also in schools as well, that really tried to keep people away from, and they were very dark. Yeah, these are great.
Wow.
I don't
So
know. I'm
we
going to say the
are-
woman one looked more depressing, but looking at that picture, I'm going to go with maybe her shoes were too tight or something. Like,
It seems like instead of the devil's lettuce, you got the devil's juice going on here.
Well, when you look down at her feet, it looks like her shoes may actually be on the wrong feet, and they could be too tight. And we're saying like her feet are turned. I don't know. There's always a story somewhere.
And then there's always the creepy guy beside her. And I don't know what it is
That too.
about. I mean, let's look at the guy beside her. I mean, he just looks like he's, gonna.
Yeah.
He looks
Well,
like bad
like-
news.
They
In
look
trouble.
like they're in an unhappy marriage. Like they don't talk at home. They just go out to the bar, drink their absinthe, and pretend that they're not with each other.
Okay, and the picture, the print that was just flashed up, this is actually one that I had. This is nothing but pure sleaze. I mean, this woman
Uh-huh.
is drinking, and he is just like, yeah, you keep on drinking, honey.
He's literally,
It's-
yeah.
I'm going to get some whether you like it or not.
He is definitely studying her.
Yikes. Okay. So we really know what absinthe, if you look close enough at the images, we know what absinthe was used for.
One quick little note I was going to make mention of, another interesting place that absinthe has been put. There was a 1990s horror video game called Phantasmagoria, and you have two main characters, a husband and a wife, and if you pay attention in the game, the wife in the beginning finds a bottle of absinthe, and as the storyline goes along and her husband becomes more and more insane, the level of the absinthe goes down.
Oh,
So-
interesting.
That's
Wow.
really interesting.
That's
Okay,
dark.
so I just have to talk about this. Has nothing to do with the subject, but Fish kept saying oregano, and so every single time he would say oregano, it would pop into my head. Resident Evil 4, the zombies would run around. They'd be like oregano, and like that's what popped in my head every time he said it.
The green fairy strikes again.
There was more to that spaghetti after all. We never knew. Learned something new tonight.
Maybe that's why we all love spaghetti so much.
Spicy meatball.
I can't wait for Thanksgiving with the sage. I'm like, yes, got
can't
you,
wait for it.
family.
I can't wait for our Thanksgiving episode.
I can't either. We're gonna be cooking. We're gonna be cooking. All right, so I am being notified that we are officially over our hour. We are right at there. Gosh, these shows go too fast. Way too fast. Oh, who was that?
Me.
Okay. I'm like,
I do have a question.
yes.
All right, so when you burn the sage, we now know it has thujone. So maybe there's something more to it. Maybe people were burning the sage because maybe there was after it they started seeing the green fairies or the blue fairies because of that thujone that's in it. They're breathing in that stuff, or maybe that poisons the spirits that are in your house. Just make sure you open your doors, otherwise they're just going to run around in circles.
Well, let's actually go a step further. You use the sage to get rid of bad spirits,
Right.
but you use sweetgrass to bring in the good.
Yeah.
So on both sides, you're getting thujone. So maybe the spirits are just us getting high.
I'll drink to that.
Sorry, Johnny, we went a little off the rails.
I like to burn sage in people's houses I don't like and shut the door and just let the fun start.
Do they know you're in their house?
That's called starting a fire, and that would be arson. Have you ever wanted to burn down someone's house? Never mind. Don't answer that. Shh. I'm sorry. Okay, so we
there's
are
the
at
FBI
the top
agents
of our
again.
hour. What?
I
What?
said, and there's the FBI
What?
agents.
What?
again.
FBI agent.
I promise it's a show. It's all for entertainment, sir.
We're
Sure
not
it
actually
is.
burning down houses.
What? Were we talking about something? What? Water?
Sounds like
I'm just
another
drinking
one.
my coffee.
Cheers.
What?
Coffee? Oh, I'm on it.
All right. So I want to take a moment and say, first of all, thank you, Mr. Fish, Jeremiah Patton, for joining us and
Thank you for having
showing
me.
us how to make absinthe.
Oh,
And
that's a lot of fire. Hold on.
Yo.
Watch.
Lights off.
Jeremiah's going to burn his own house down.
Ooh,
Aw.
Yes. And we're gonna
There we go.
watch.
Yeah.
for entertainment purposes.
Uh-huh. How
So-
fast does the fire department show up? Let's
Shh. Let's not discuss that.
So I also have to say on here that if I don't have a little brown bag at my door tomorrow morning, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm making my own. I have goodies.
I've already started it for you while you were talking.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Now I want
lovely.
to try.
And this
Fake
is a small
absinthe
one. It was too
cookies.
small for me, so this is actually coming with it. So you can make your own absinthe at the house. It's great. So
I'm not squawking. Oh,
Oh boy.
oh. Okay.
Fish. I triple dog dare you to make absinthe cookies.
Ooh, absinthe cookie.
I'm gonna make it happen. I think molasses cookies would be a good avenue for that.
And please video it because we do have our own YouTube channel now, and we will post anything that you make for us, Jeremiah, on our YouTube channel.
I will make them and I will mail them to you.
Oh, thank you, God.
Yes.
Thank you, God. Okay, so also thank you, Scarlett, for joining us. I'm not spitting cherries, I promise.
Okay.
Patooey.
I really am.
She totally
I am.
is.
So thank you, Scarlett, for joining us. Thank you for going with us and having our little adventure. We
It was so
had
fun.
a blast, and I think we're going to be seeing the absinthe room hopefully again in the near future. So we're working on that. So we can't say a lot right now. Also want to say thank you to Back of the Cereal Box and John Pica for hosting us. And then, of course, the Cabana Boy and Toy Robot Visual Arts for everything that they do, from our beautiful images to making this all happen the way it does and wrangling all of the squirrels, especially the giant squirrel here. If you want to support our show, as you see, we have a digital tip jar that is running across the bottom. It is to the Back of the Cereal Box overall tip jar, but you can specify if you want to support the Ice Cream Queens, if you want to support, if you want to leave a tip for Magda and that beautiful reading that she did, and with the hopes that she will be doing those again in the future, you can do that. You can individualize who you want those tips to go to or which show you want those tips to go to. And we have a show coming up. Do we have a date? I know we have a date. Our next show
Is a calendar that's loading. The 22nd.
the 22nd. Okay, so we will be back on the 22nd, and our topic, well, we'll let you know in the near future. And then also, hey, quick couple of things. Lauren, Scarlett, and myself are going to be at the Covington Con. Kat, you're welcome to join us. Fish, if you want to drive down from Kentucky, you're welcome to join us.
Let's do
But
it.
we will be there as official hosts of Ice Cream Queens and Back of the Cereal Box. And you will get to see us in all of our cosplay glory. And yeah, so there's that. And then myself and Geek Gumshoe will be at CreepyCon on the 21st and 22nd. So look for that. And that's, I think, in the Knoxville area. So yay, you can actually come find us and stalk us in person. So yeah, that's how you find us. And I think with that, I think that's it. Have we covered everything? Kat, Magda?
Where
Lauren,
do we
have
find Fish or the Amazing Scarlet if they would like for people to find them on the line?
Fish, where do we
Okay.
find you?
So I have a Instagram. It's arbitrary_fowl, FOWL. It's a little play on words because I'm a nature photographer. And also just using my name, Jeremiah Patton, on the interwebs. I make all my nature photography public because it's something I like to share with the world.
Yeah. And you also do a lot of cooking videos too on YouTube.
I do. Look up Fishhead1227 on YouTube, and that's my YouTube channel. And I have all my videos. Recently, past couple of years, I've been really big into smoking and barbecue and brisket and ribs and pork shoulder, all that good stuff. So any instructional videos. I'm also a mechanic as well, so I've got a few automotive trips and tips on there too.
And the Cabana Boy upstairs has a Dad Budget Preppers video YouTube channel that you appear on a regular basis. And
Yes.
so there's a whole lot of cooking there as well.
I love that channel.
Oh my God. I think we all do. I think there's a bromance going there that's unlike anything we've ever seen. We're loving that. Dad Budget Adventures is the name of the channel. Okay, look it up. It's a lot of fun. And Scarlett has appeared on there too. But Scarlett, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok. My username on TikTok is at ScarlettEStaff15. And I post gardening videos mostly on there. And then you can also find me on YouTube at The Amazing Scarlett. I post cooking videos and plant-related videos on there as well, and prepping-related videos that generally have to do with like food preps and things of that nature. But I also regularly appear on the Dad Budget Adventure channel as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So anything else that we need to cover before we say pleasant screams?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.